of Cumming Family Farm.
To start with, James Cumming. He was born in Aberdeen, Scotland in 1867 and came to the U.S. at the age of 21. He arrived in the state of Ohio with only 70 cents in his pockets and went on to Saunders County, Nebraska. There he met and married Mary Ann Moody on Valentine's Day, February 15, 1893. They arrived in St. Edward in March of 1893 and purchased 80 acres from Violet and Alton White for $1,800 or $22.50 per acre. 4 years later, James purchased 40 acres more to the south of his original 80 acres. This was purchased from Walter Gaines in 1897 for $525, making it $13.12 an acre. During the first years, the Indians would come to the house asking for food. Mrs. Cumming, not knowing if she could trust them in the house, would tell them to catch one of their chickens. In the early evening of April 26, 1899, a tornado demolished the whole farmstead. In the true pioneer spirit, they built their house again over the same basement, adding to it as they were able. It was there their six sons and 3 daughters grew up and went on to establish homes of their own. In 1944, James and Mary Ann moved to St. Edward, and their youngest son, Roy, and wife, Esther, with their son and 2 daughters, moved on the farm. Following their son Lonnie's graduation from high school, Roy and Lonnie began farming together and had a cattle feeding operation. 65 years later, on May 5th, 1964, at 4 p.m., another tornado struck this farm. A new grain elevator was destroyed and other minor damage was done. In January of 1970, Roy and Esther moved into a new home they had built in St. Edward. At the same time, Lonnie and wife Phyllis and their 4 daughters moved onto the family farm. After moving to town, Roy still continued to feed cattle and help with field work until 1986, when his health would not let him continue. In 1974, a son was born to Lonnie and Phyllis, and today Lonnie and Brian are farming this land. They also have a hog confinement operation and a small cow herd.
Well, the hogs are gone and they got more cows.
You graduated from high school and we're going to go to Luther College.
Yeah, that didn't last very long.
You went 1 semester and then you came home and started farming.
Yep. Then in 1960, we had 1,200 head of cattle. We had that for anywhere from 8 to 1,400 head there all the time till, what, 1989 or 86, somewhere along in there. That's the best I can tell you.
How we met was, like he said, he got brave and gave me a call and went from there. So we had our kids and for 15 years we worked and never went anywhere. Always talked about we needed a vacation. No, there was no time for vacation. But after the 15 years we took off and we went to Black Hills, and then we decided we liked it, so we tried it another year. Next year, I think that was in 77 when our oldest girl graduated. We were at
Did we go down to
Grand Canyon.
Yeah, we always went out and seen our Uncle Lent at Scotts Bluff. We'd done that, what, 2-3 times?
We had things that we did for holidays, and mostly it was like Christmas. We always had certain foods that we would fix for Christmas. For my part, it was the Swedish food, lefse and lutefisk, yeah, rosettes and kringla. And for your side of the family?
Yeah, Ruby, she always brought a ham, Cornmeal ham.
Didn't you have to have rice You'd
Not
always
there.
have rice pudding.
That was on the Olson side.
Yeah, that was on your mom's side.
Yep.
And the kids always had to say their Sunday school pieces before they ever got anything to eat. And everybody was disgusted because they had to do that.
I think that'd be about right. Well, we never had electricity till 48. We never had television till 54 or 55. Her folks had television long before I did, because I was the one that was instrumental in getting the TV. Then when we used to feed good black cattle, we'd send them to Omaha, and they would go to the East Coast as kosher cattle.
Did you ship cattle to Chicago to sell?
Not very often. We did a time or two.
Well, where I grew up, we never even, we had water in the house with a pump. That's the way we got our water in the house. We had no bathroom, so we had an outhouse.
He never had an indoor bathroom till after we got married. Wasn't it about a year? The second winter we had one.
Of course, we had to make our own entertainment. There was no computers or games or whatever to play, so you had to make some type of fun. I guess you would read books by
Candlelight?
oh yeah, candlelight, but we had those like Aladdin lamps that you could light, and it gave you some nice light. Or listen to the radio back when we were kids. What
In the
else?
blizzard. I walked from over there where you guys lived to over west there that one time, and the only way I got home, I got down to the corner and I could watch the telephone wires, and that was how I got home. It was snowing so hard. If I'd got away from them, I'd have been lost. It'd be cold, then I'd put a paper sack over my head and cut eye holes in it in a place where I could breathe, so I wouldn't freeze my face. I come around the corner of the barn there, the hay shed by the barn there, and I felt my face freeze as I went around the corner. The minute I got in front of the barn, it just quit, because the wind quit hitting me. And when your mom and dad got married and lived there, I told your mom, I said, you're going to have kids coming and wanting you to pull them out, because they were close enough to town, and they had several different ones come and pull them out.
Yeah, out of mud and snow.
I could retire if I wanted to.
I guess you were successful enough that you had a comfortable living and life.
I thought we did anyhow.
I know when we first got married, there was a lot of handwork, moving pipe and carrying pipe all the time. And when you were feeding cattle, why, it was like scoop shovel, and it wasn't, couldn't pull a cord and have the corn fall in the wagon.
Well, we had the first feed wagon around there. We had the first mixer wagon with a scale on it. That way you could mix your rations more accurately.
Setbacks.
Well, the elevator went down, and built that elevator in 60, and it went down in 63. Then we put that steel one up.
Yeah, we had a tornado that took that.
Right. She come home from Newman Grove that day. She had Leanne with her, and she'd left Linda with my mom. And she got over there by Jenkins, and she seen the elevator was gone, so she didn't know what she was going to find when she got home.
Oh, we had a hailstorm that one year.
Yeah. Broke the windows out of the house. That was in 71. It cleaned us out.
Not as bad as it could have been.
It got the corn at home there. It was full. And it was like that all the way from, well, there was a little bit of corn normal down there south of the house there in the corner. And then up by the Salem Road, there was corn there. It went right down through the center. Cleaned it all out. That was what it looked like. And that was, I think it was around the first of the hailstorm. Chased the cattle out of the 1 yard there, out south there where the hoops are at. They went through the fence. Dad said, well, just leave them alone, they'll come home. And they all come home by 7 o'clock that night. They'd all come home, and we'd watch when they come home, and we'd bring them up and then put them in a yard, a different yard. And they gradually just kept 10, 12 of them would come home till they all come home. Here is how they moved the corn. This here is where they drove the wagons through and parked the front wheels on here. And then there was a deal back here where the horses went in a circle, turned the auger, the elevator, and moved the corn up to the crib there, or in the pile. Then this same elevator, they would move it over to the old crib over here, go up in this window up here, and then they would move the grain. There was a flat elevator in there that would move the ear corn. It had a slide in there that run it to the west side for the ear corn, and there's another deal there that would slide it to this side and put the small grain in. That way, well, they never had to shovel it. Then we were planting corn out west of town, and Linda, she was running the old 40-20, and she helped that time plant that. We got a hailstorm out there. We never had any wind with it. It just was straight down, and all we had left was a straight stalk of corn with no leaves on it. And Linda, she cried when she seen it, because she was the one that helped plant. And we left after we'd seen it. We never went back out there for 2 weeks, and the corn was only about this high, and then it kept growing out, and you'd never even know it had hailed on it.
He would have his nephews come out in the summertime because they were city kids. They'd come out and work during the summer. One of them was cultivating corn, and he didn't drive right, so he was cutting the corn out, and he got out of the tractor and thought he could replant it, so he was putting the stalks in the ground again.
Grandpa Roy was usually, most generally, the one feeding the cattle. I mean, Dad did occasionally. Dad did more with the crop and preferred working with the hogs. When Grandpa had his health episode, that would have been, 86, so I'd have been 12. You know, they'd get cattle in the fall and run them in the corn stalks for a while, and then there'd kind of usually be a big sort, and they'd go to pens, and then they would start feeding them. I do know out of that, as far as how my start really came, I guess there were two. There's the last pen of heifers that we fed for a while that were pregnant and ended up calving, and they each had heifer calves, and so I basically got them to take care of. I don't remember bottle feeding them, but I think they let them feed them for a while, and then they probably got weaned kind of young. But then I raised them up and thought it would be neat to breed them, and Denny Cruz, they eyed them the first time, and then I think between Dad and I, there might have been a couple more that we ended up buying. But I know the one feedlot calf that he turned into a cow, hell, I had her for 19 years. And the other one, she didn't last only a couple. But I don't even know if I got a second calf out of her. I don't think she rebred. But I was still in school at that time. That was probably 88 or 89. I know it was when I was probably still a freshman in high school. And then Dad got out of the cattle business because he didn't want to have to fight with having a hired man and having to deal with trying to get help around here. And so then he could take care of more hogs by himself, and if he needed help, Mom said she was willing to come out and help him if she needed help loading. And so then I got in on more and more of that, and so then that was when I actually had quite a bit of success feeding hogs there early. They actually made some money on it, some good money, not integrated penciled, only make about so many dollars a head type of a thing at that time. Then Pauline, she had shares in St. Ed Pig, and she wasn't getting along with the Olsen boys. They ended up for a few years, and then she ended up asking Dad to go ahead and take over taking care of the hogs for her, and they ended up buying her shares in St. Ed Pig, and then we rented her hog shed for several years, and then which basically turned into having the opportunity to rent a farm. And Bert Belgum, he was getting to the age of retirement, so there was another quarter and a 60. There was pasture up there at the time too, but Bert kept the cows for a while until he decided out of it. But I had rented that for when basically started farming that, because Bert inherited part of that ground, and so the acreage that we were farming was gradually increasing. When I was in high school, I know that was a year Dad bought the Forest place up there, and then I think it was not too long after we were married, that's when the Anderson place came up for sale. We added that, so acreage was growing. I don't know, I started helping out and technically farming long before I was ever out of high school. Everybody asks, well, when did you start? And it's like, well, I was always involved doing stuff, so I never really got out of it. How did you meet your mom? Well, first probably connection of that was when I was a junior in high school, and she was a state FFA officer. She stopped, and that was first met her. But then just a chance meeting, and then we would play Lee and basketball, and then ended up actually talking to her sister Jenny a little bit from that. But we were involved with the seed company, or Four Star Seed, and it just so happened that Roger and Gay Dean would attend the same sales meeting or grower meeting, and actually met them probably later, and they were her parents and would generally ask, well, how's she doing? So then talked to probably Roger and Gay Dean more than anything. I was at the Platte Center Demo Derby over the 4th of July and bumped into Jenny, and she asked me about if I was seeing anybody, and I asked how Vanessa was doing, and it come up, and then it ended up here. It wasn't too long, and her mom called me, and we ended up meeting down at the fireman's dance in Genoa, and talked a little bit, and then kind of started dating. It was July 6th, wedding. What are the achievements of our family? I don't know. Keeping the farm and the family for 124 years is probably the biggest achievement. What did it take to attain them? Perseverance. But the setbacks and disappointments of the family was of your Grandpa Lonnie's sisters. One of them did not get along, or feel that when the estate got divided, it was divided fairly. She felt slighted. She felt slighted all her life, and it was kind of a disappointment. It was somewhat of a setback because it left things in the air as far as being able to move forward and know where you stood with certain stuff. It's one of those things that I think every farm family at some point in time, if they haven't, will experience. Fortunately, it didn't end up anything super negative. My aunt, or your dad's one sister, was able to work with us, or did work with us, and was very good to me, worked with me very, very well, and I thank her very much for that. I guess I don't know if some family bonds are stronger once you see that happen and know what happens and been through it. They've got a better understanding. We've seen it happen, and it's just experience and reality, I guess, knowing the possibilities of what can and can happen.